What if the greatest secret of an Egyptian mummy wasn't hidden inside, but was written on the outside? This isn't just any cloth. This is the Liber Linteus, also known as the Book of Linen, and its story is one of history's most bizarre bibliographic mysteries. In the 19th century, a Croatian official named Mihajlo Baric bought an Egyptian mummy in Alexandria and brought it back to Zagreb. The mummy was unwrapped, revealing that its linen wrappings were covered in strange, unknown writing. The mummy was Egyptian, but the text was not. For decades, people assumed it was some kind of decorative bandage. It wasn't until the late 19th century that scholars realized the text was Etruscan, making it the longest surviving example of that language. How did an Italian sacred text end up on an Egyptian body? The Liber Linteus is the longest surviving Etruscan text ever discovered. It was not found in Italy, but rather in Egypt, where strips of the manuscript had been cut apart and reused as mummy wrappings, dating roughly to the 3rd century BC. Scholars believe the Liber Linteus is a religious calendar. Its surviving fragments describe rituals, sacrifices, and ceremonies tied to specific sacred days throughout the year. The writing is arranged in columns, much like a ledger, and it records which gods or spirits were to be honored, the offerings to be made, and the proper sequence of prayers or actions. It's also a calendar of holy observances, ensuring that each divine rite was carried out at its appointed time. But the million-dollar question remains, why was it used as mummy bandages? The answer lies in the strange afterlife of books and papyri in the ancient world. By the time the Book of Linen found its way to Egypt, the Etruscan civilization had long since declined, absorbed into the rising power of Rome. The language was already fading from memory, and what had once been a sacred religious manuscript may have seemed, to later hands, little more than scrap material. Was the deceased themselves an Etruscan expatriate, given a burial that combined both of their worlds? In Egypt, linen was precious, but it was also recycled. Old documents, especially those written in foreign or now obscure languages, could be stripped apart and repurposed. In the case of the Book of Linen, its sacred columns of text were cut into long strips to wrap a mummy, almost as if its words, once meant to preserve ritual order, were ironically transformed into a literal shroud. There's also the possibility that the text reached Egypt through trade. Linen was a common good exchanged around the Mediterranean. What was once a treasured liturgical book in Etruria might have been sold as a bulk shipment of cloth centuries later, its meaning lost, its holiness unrecognized by those who saw only fine fabric to be reused. The irony is haunting. The Etruscans wrote this calendar to honor their gods, to ensure proper sacrifice and ritual in exchange for divine favor. Yet the very document intended to preserve sacred tradition survived only because someone in Egypt saw it as expendable, useful not as scripture, but as wrapping for the dead. And because of that choice, the longest piece of the Etruscan language we possess today was preserved for us, hidden for centuries beneath layers of resin and dust, waiting to be unwrapped and read again. It's a haunting reminder that the ancient world was deeply interconnected, and some of its stories are forever woven into the fabric of history itself. What do you think happened? Let us know in the comments below. Stay illuminated with illuminating bites.